everyone. Welcome back to RTS and welcome back to our paper pad party. Yes, our paper pad party. So I have a couple things to go over real quick before I get into that because I have a couple questions and no sense making a video for a couple questions. Okay, for you gals that are looking for this Scotch quick dry adhesive, it no longer looks like this. It now looks like this. This right here. It has a new logo, a new label, but apparently the same formula, and I have found it at Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Staples, and Target. Okay, and so at Hobby Lobby, it's not with the other adhesive. They have a complete display for Scotch products, and it was over near the home decor, the other type of craft. So if you don't see it in that section, look there. So that is what it looks like now. Okay, awesome product. Awesome. You know, it's my favorite adhesive. Okay, the second thing is, okay, so now we're talking about our paper pad party, but probably loaded by now or up by now or in the middle of it, I'm working ahead on things, is that I have a 4 for 4 series, and that's what these 4 washes are. I'm going to slide them out of the way because I'm going to need all the room we can have when it comes to paper pads. Now, I said in my paper pad party intro that for a couple weeks or several weeks, just a few weeks, we're going to talk about organizing paper pads, and then we're going to start, once we get things organized, you know what the next step is, right? It's not to go buy more. No. Once we're done organizing our paper pads, we're going to start using our paper pads, and that will be an ongoing feature / series, whatever you want to call it, that will be on this channel for a long time. Okay, because I'm all about using what you already have. Yes. And I'm on a spending freeze. Okay, so how are we going to start organizing paper pads? Okay, so I thought about this for a little bit, and so I thought the first thing what we're going to do is that we're going to start with 12 by 12 pads, and this week or this video will only be about 12 by 12 paper pads. So if you don't have a single one, then I guess you could wait till next week. But this is what we're going to do. But you're going to honestly see that what we do this week is going to be the same concept for every size we have. It's just we're going to go about it in a different manner. Okay. Now, what I'm going to show is how I do mine. But it's so adaptable for just about any style. And I will have different options rather than just show exactly what I do. I have other options for you. And we'll talk about some other things. Okay, now if you have any questions or comments, you know, just leave them in the comment section below, because I have awesome people who, if I can't get to answer, other people will jump on and answer how they do things too, because my subscribers are awesome. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go by my notes, but you know who you're talking to here, right? The raccoon syndrome will go in because I get excited about paper pads. Paper's my favorite thing of my whole entire hobby, you know, as far as supplies, you know, my photos and stories, of course. But what comes next? Paper. Okay, so today is 12 by 12 paper pads only, okay? Because otherwise the video would just get 2 hours long, and I just loaded an hour video, and it is now on, let's see, 12, I'm on 16 hours of just uploading to YouTube for one video. Yes, 16 hours. So we're going to try to see how long this takes. However, if you don't like long videos, I do apologize for that. Just maybe watch it in 2 parts or 3, because not everybody has a half hour to sit down and watch a video. I know all about that. So when I want to watch long videos, I break it up. One day I'll watch 15 minutes, next day I'll watch another 15. So maybe that's what you could do with these. However, when it comes to organizing, you just get lost and you don't even keep track of time, right? Because we're going to learn something. And when you're learning, there's no sense putting a time limit on when you're learning. Okay, so what do you need to do? You need to get your sleeves rolled up. Yes, get your sleeves rolled up, and we're going to start. Now, if you want to make a couple notes, you can do that. Grab a piece of paper and a pen, because I really am not going to have notes listed below. Okay, since this is a party, it's informal. Okay, if you want to make some notes along the way, pause right now, go get a drink, go get a paper and a pen. Okay. So, organizing our 12 by 12. Now, the things I'm going to talk about, if you don't have a lot of time over the summer, which who does? I mean, honestly, it comes to yard work and everything else, there's just not time. So what I suggest, and if you've ever followed the Fly Lady system back in the day, and you know, something I learned many years ago, do things in 15-minute increments. So, through this whole process of your paper pads, if you have 15 minutes, that's good. Okay, don't make it a 3 or 4 hour, because you just get tired, you get aggravated. And 15 minutes, I mean, that's, if you That's what you need to do, 15 minutes at a time, and just work on it every day, 15 minutes at a time, till you get. Now, my problem is I got 8 projects going on, and I have to spend 15 minutes on 8 different projects. So, you know what I'm talking about. Especially you mamas who have to work outside the home. You deserve a medal. Actually, I think you deserve a check from the government, because honestly, I think every mother who works outside the home should get your regular pay, and you should get a stipend from the government. That's okay. I need to get off of that. Yeah, our moms and our military don't get paid enough. There we go. Okay, so our 12 by 12 paper pads. The first thing we're going to do is, and if you've done any type of organizing, you know exactly what I'm going to say. You need to get every 12 by 12 paper pad you own in one place so you can look at them. Now, in the new standards, you know, that would be the KonMari method. But in my standards, that was just, you have to see what you have to see. I mean, you can't organize. It's like you can't get in the car and go somewhere if you don't know where the destination is. So, but of course, everybody knows what the KonMari method is, which I totally agree with that, okay? So, you have to get all your 12 by 12s in one pile. Okay, and so maybe that's what you do today. You just get them all in one place. Just dig them all out, find them, crop bags, your car, your vehicle, under your desk, under your feet, on a shelf, in a bin, in a bag, closet. That's where a lot of my 12 by 12 paper pads are, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Just get them all out. Okay, yeah, and be prepared. Paper pads are heavy, okay, honestly. So if your little ones can help, pay them a couple dollars, okay? I remember those days. Okay, yeah, you pay your kids to do your work. Okay, so get them all in one place, honestly. Okay, and that way, because not only are we just going to start organizing, first of all, you have to take inventory of your inventory. Okay, and that's, I call this inventory. This is not stash. This is inventory, because why are we sitting here organizing it if we don't want to take good care of it? Okay, it's just like a business that has an inventory. They take good care of it and they keep track of it. That's exactly what we're going to do with our scrapbooking and crafting supplies. We take inventory and we call it inventory. So what we're going to do is gather them all in one place. That way you can get a visual of what you have, and most importantly, how many you have, okay? Yeah, I know it's an eye-opener. I know. I'm right there with you, sister. Just keep hanging on, okay? Because once you see, and you're going to see how many 12 by 12 paper pads I have in a minute. Not because I'm going to have them all on the desk, but because of the way I inventory them. And so they do get heavy and they do get cumbersome. And so just get them all in one place. And what we're going to do after you, kind of wipe the sweat off your brow and you say, oh yeah, I have a lot. Okay, then it's time to move on. Go forth. That's okay. If you have 100, you have 100. If you have 10, you have a 10. Okay. But if you're one of those girls that have, just a few, it's easier. But if you have a lot, we need to take inventory. So you're going to look at them and say, oh, I like, I don't like. And that's all you're going to do. Just simply go through them real quick. If there's any that you don't like, there's no sense holding on to it. Just let it go. It's just paper. And I guarantee you, anything I've ever purged in not only my scrap room, but in my entire home, I've never missed anything in all these years I have purged and gave away and donated, except one thing, and that was an antique dough bowl. But, it was a great big bowl, and it was... yeah, but I'm over that. But that's one thing, and I'm almost 50 years old. One thing I've ever donated that I've ever missed and wish I had back, okay? So, honestly, if you don't love it, there's no sense keeping it, and there's no sense making room in your space for it if you don't love it. Just chuck it, okay? Donate it, give it away. Someone else will love it. So, that's what you're going to do. You're going to take inventory of your inventory after you gather them all up, and if you don't like something... and the worst case scenario, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But you can, honestly, go through a paper pad. And if there's 2 papers in there you do like, rip them out and put them in with your regular pattern paper. Which we'll be talking about that coming up down the road too. Your pattern paper. Organizing pattern paper. And so you don't have to get rid of the whole pad. Maybe you see 10 sheets in there. Rip them out. And give the other sheets to someone else. Okay? And then put those sheets in with your pattern paper. Okay? So... pare down, purge, or don't do either one. I really don't purge paper pads because, I've been scrapbooking a long time. In August will mark the 23rd year that I have been scrapbooking. And I'm to the point, if you said, hey, Janet, go to your room and pick out 10 things you don't like. I could not honestly pick out 10 things I don't like. Because over the years, I have purged what I don't like and I only buy what I love. Okay, I only buy what I love. So that's what you're going to do. Gather everything, take inventory, and then you're going to purge or not purge. donate or not donate. Totally a personal thing. Don't feel pressured that you have to purge, and don't feel pressured if you do want to purge. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Either one. I know some people get hung up about that. So the next thing we're going to do is something a little bit of it gets skipped over when it comes to organizing, and I think it's important, okay? Especially it depends on how you store. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean up our pads a tad, okay? And what does that mean? You know how these sticky things get on here? Well, I'm not suggesting that you go through every paper pad and remove them, but if you have any that's sticky, you might as well get it off of there now. And what you can simply do is try to rip it off. That's pretty simple. And if you can't rip it off, just fold it under so it doesn't get attached to any of your papers, you know, okay? Now, let me give you a little tip if you're buying paper pads to give as gifts, because I do that every so often, is that you see these things? And I did a video about that not so long ago, okay? Your undo. Okay, anytime, because even if you put this liquid on this paper pad, it's not going to ruin it. So if you're giving paper pads as a gift, or someone else has removed a price tag and it's sticky, you're going to use these, what do I want to call it? EK Success Powder Tool is what they call, okay? Now, if you've watched Nicole Jones, she's talked about this product for years and years and years, and she was the reason why I bought one. Now, the first one I bought, these bristles kept falling out. So you see the baby powder coming? Yeah. And I've had this for several years, and that's how much I still have. So my first one I had, these bristles kept falling out, and I was like, why is Nicole like these? Because I thought it was pretty crappy. But I contacted EK Success, and they said it must be defective because your bristles are not supposed to come out. And so what you do is if you have something that's sticky, and you know, every time you deal with a paper pad, there's something sticky, you're just going to take your EK powder tool, or you can take some baby powder, rub over that, okay? And that'll get the stickiness off of the cover of your paper pads. And the reason why you think, well, why is that a big deal? Well, if you're going to stack, guess what? Something's going to get stuck on there and it's going to rip. And you just don't want that. You want things to look nice and tidy, okay? Now, off camera, I will remove that because that will just bug me. I have one on and one off. Yeah, I'm anal about stuff like that. Truly, I'm just going to be honest with you. I've been like that since I've been a child. I couldn't sit in a room if there was something misplaced. Well, I can tell you I got out of that pretty quick as an adult. Okay, so, see, that's what I mean. Look at that. Now you just love that a little bit more, okay? Now, I'm not suggesting you take the price tags off. I'm just saying if you have something sticky, or if you're giving it as a gift, don't forget you can use your undo, okay? And I'll link the video below for that. And if you have something sticky, because I was just, yeah, actually right here, this, when I removed these were sticky, and you can tell it's got little fuzzies. I just put my EK powder tool right over that. Stickiness be gone, okay? Because how I know is because it's stuck to another paper pad. Okay, so that was just a little bit of house cleaning you need to do before we start digging into organizing. Okay, and I hope that wasn't too much talk already, but it's a paper pad party. Who says there's a time limit on a party? Right, okay. So you're going to purge what you don't like. Now, here's the hard part. And honestly, when I think to organizing paper pads, this is your hardest part, is that you need to take a couple minutes, and you may already know this if you're a long-time scrapper or crafter. How do you craft? How do you scrap? Meaning, if you go by collections, that's how you need to organize them. If you're going to go by style, that's how you need to organize it. If you're a theme scrapper, you need to go by that. Or do you go by color? Okay, and let me just say, there is no wrong answer to anything in crafting or scrapbooking. And don't let anybody pressure you that, oh, well, you don't do this and you don't do that. Tell them to kiss your grits, okay? It's just, that's not what this is about. You pick how you want to organize your stuff. There's no right or wrong way, okay? I get so irritated when I hear people, yeah, I'll just stop that, okay? I just want to say, you do it how you want to do it. There's no right or wrong way, okay? And I know, yeah, okay, I'm just going to stop right there. Just do it how you want to do it. It's your style, okay? If you're someone that is, you go by color, go by color. If you want to go by collection, collection. If you want to go by manufacturer, go by that, okay? Or if you want to do like I do all of it. Honestly, because I'm all over the board when it comes to my scrapbooking. There is some I want by style, there's some I want by theme, and there's some I want by collection. And you'll see that because that's how I organize mine. Okay, so again, if you don't learn anything, just this one thing, there is no wrong answer or no wrong way to do anything when it comes to scrapbooking or crafting, okay? And I get tired of the people who say there are, you know? No, just because you do it that way doesn't mean everybody else does. Can I get an amen, okay? And you don't have to be trendy to do it the way they do it, but that's my 2 cents. Okay, so after that, you do honestly have to sit, how do you want to scrap? Or how do you scrap? Because how you scrap and how you craft is how you need to organize your paper pads, especially your 12 by 12s, because these things are clunky, they're heavy, they're cumbersome, and they take up a lot of room, okay? But we love them. We want to give them room, okay? And so that would probably be my next thing. My next step is everybody has a different space. Everybody has a different amount of space. And some people don't even scrap at home. They scrap at crops. So you have to, right off the bat, you have to figure out and decide once and for all, because this is going to be a one for all. You're not going to have to do this again. If you think about it now, give it a little bit of time, you will not have to redo this in the future. I done this, I don't know, a few years ago, and you don't have to do it again, okay? Unless you keep buying and buying and buying, but that's another topic. Okay, so with that being said, you have to decide how do you want to access your pads. Okay, now I will tell you, for me, that answer was very easy because it depended on my space. Okay, I don't have a huge room. I mean, I have a room, but it's not huge. You know, I don't have IKEA anything. Okay, maybe a bin, but I don't have IKEA shelves. I don't even have cubes. I don't have Michaels or Recollections cubes. I have bookcases and a desk and a table. Honestly, I am old school. I don't have any of that. You know, it's just about as basic as it can be. So for me, my paper pads have to fit on a bookcase, the shelf of a bookcase, or it's going to have to go under a table or in a closet. I do not have, I have 2 bookcases in my room, and I have the 2 bottom shelves. That is pattern paper. I do not have room for my pads with my pattern paper. Now, I know, and some of you will know who I'm talking about when I say about Tiffany Spaulding at Totally Tiffany, and I will link a couple of her videos because I think that lady is spot on when it comes to organizing and the thought process. And I think she spent a lot of time researching how and why people organize in the way they do. And she suggests that you organize your pads within your paper. That's not possible for me. I have too much paper. I have too many pads. It would be nice if I had a huge room and my pads could be right along with my paper, but that's not a reality for me. So you have to give yourself a minute to say, okay, well, do I have a shelf? Do I have a unit? Do I have, where are you going to put your paper pads? And make a decision. And then with that, I want you to tell yourself you're going to allocate a certain space for your paper pads, and then that's it. Okay? You're going to actually cut yourself off. Okay? Now, with that being said, give yourself a little bit of room to grow. Okay? Because if you put all your paper pads, say you had a bin or a basket that accommodated them, and you filled that whole basket to the brim, that's not realistic, because we will be bringing things into our space and our work surface. That's the reality of it. No one's ever not going to buy anything ever again, okay? So when you allocate a space in your room or wherever you're at, if you're using the corner of a bedroom or you're using an armoire in a living room, that's your space you're allocating. So you have to look around and say, okay, this is the space I'm allocating. And if you already own too much, well, you're going to have to purge. Okay, but I suggest when you do your allocating and when you say this is where I'm going to put my paper pads, give yourself a little bit of room to grow. That, like I said, that's the reality of it. So when you do that, when you're allocating a certain space, then you're telling yourself in your brain, this is all I have room for. So I either need to keep using more or spending less. Okay, and that's with anything. That's not just paper pads. Okay, so then the next step is, are you going to go vertical or horizontal? Okay, now again, that's going to depend on where you're going to store them and then how much you're going to allocate for that space. So for me, I'm all over the board. I have some vertical and I have some horizontal because it depends on my space. And my paper pads are in my closet in my room because I do not have desk space and I don't want them under a table because I did that one time. Years ago, I had them underneath my table to my right. And I have a desk right in front of me. And to my right, I have just like one of those tables you get at Sam's Club. Honestly, it's nothing fancy. And then underneath that, this is where I had my paper pads. And they were all neat and organized and things like that. But when I wanted a paper pad, I had to move stuff to get to it. I'm telling you right now, that will not work for anybody. If you have to move something to get to something, that's something you're getting to is not going to be got, because it just, who has the energy to move stuff all the time? No. So wherever you allocate, let it be accessible but not hidden. Okay, it doesn't have to be right in your face, but it can't be hidden. Okay, so, and that will be probably talking about another question I will be addressing in just a minute. Okay, so you have to say, are you going to have them standing up, you know, in the vertical fashion, or are you going to have them horizontal? Okay, because what we're going to do, if you look here, do you see something? You see these numbers? Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. That is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about organizing. Okay, so once you decide on vertical or horizontal, and if you don't know that just yet, that's okay. Just get a visual in your mind. Where do you want your paper pads? Okay, and how are you going to put them? Are you going to put them flat? Or are you going to stand them up? Okay, now, again, I have mine both ways because of the amount I have. I'm just going to be honest, okay? So, next, and this is probably, again, where you're going to have to do a little bit of thinking. So, you know, as soon as we turned on the video, we already have like 3 or 4 things we need to decide. It's like a paint job. It's 75% prep and 25% work. This is no different. You have to give a little bit of thought into what you're going to do before we actually start doing it. So the next thing you're going to have to say is, how do you want your paper pads? And you're saying, well, what do you mean by that? Okay, well, again, it's going to depend on your style and how you scrap. Okay, so do you want to just have your paper pads in a pile and they don't have to be separated by any theme or category? And that's what I mean, okay? Now, Totally Tiffany has, I can't remember exactly how she does that, but she has a different way of doing things. And like I said, I'm going to link below because she does things like the calendar and then theme and sentiments and the rainbow, okay? I don't do calendar and I don't do like sentiment type things, okay? So I basically do, well, I do some theme, I do category and rainbow. So I guess a little bit of that same, I'm not sure. But I will link her below because I think she is an awesome instructor, and I think she has wonderful products, and she has a great customer service, and she has really thought a lot. And the thing I like about Tiffany Spaulding is that she offers organizing classes, and she doesn't charge for them. Okay, now she will show product during her videos, but you know what she does? She does it at the end of her videos. I think that is so nice and kind and smart of her, because she is all about the organizing first and the selling second. Okay, I think that makes her special. Okay, so once you decide if you're going to go vertical or horizontal, and then you're going to decide, are you going to do categories or theme or color or all of those, or you're going to skip and not do anything. You're just going to organize them in such a way that you're going to reference them in the future. And I'm going to show you how I did mine. Okay, and like I said, I did this a few years ago, and I can tell you it works because I don't even know how many years ago I did it, and I'm still using the same way. Because the reason why I do it the way I do it is because I don't have room in my space just to have them on a shelf and I can just go to them. No, what I'm doing is I have a reference point, kind of like a catalog binder, and then I just go to it. You know how we do our stamps and our dies and what else? Stamps, dies, punches, that type of thing. Which, if you want to see my catalog inventory binder, I can share that someday too. So it's the same thing, but it's not a binder. Okay, I'll get to it in just a minute. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over my categories and my themes just so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about, and then where I go from there. Okay, and I hope this doesn't get too long, but does it really matter? No. I'm going to take a drink here, and I'm going to get some paper pads up here, and then we're going to talk about my categories. But again, that doesn't have to be your categories, but it can give you some ideas. Okay. Oh, that tea was hot. Wow. Okay. Burn, mama, burn. Okay, so first of all, let me pull out a couple here. And again, the way you're going to, and what I suggest is, if you have room, okay? Get all your paper, your 12 by 12 paper pads, and put them on the floor. Now, if you have fur babies or young babies, I don't recommend that unless you can do this in a place and shut the door and nobody can get in, because, you know, babies, human or non, can ruin paper. So what I suggest is, if you can't, then maybe put it on a table or something and get everything laid out, and then start to see what type of themes that you have a lot of, what type of categories you have a lot of, and then just start putting them in piles. It doesn't have to be nothing finalized. Just put things in piles to see what you have, okay? And then you know what I'm going to say. I say this probably about every video. You're going to get out your little wish list, or your book that you keep track things, or your phone, whatever, and then you're going to make a note. Do not buy any more Christmas pads, or I do not have a single fall pad at all. Okay, so you can also, as you're doing this, you know, putting them in piles of categories or themes, if you want to do it that way, then you can say you're taking inventory of your inventory. You have 23 Christmas pads. You don't need a single one. Or you don't have a single Valentine's pad. Or you have nothing that has the forest screen. Or you know what I'm talking about. Or I need an outdoor, or I need a military paper pad, okay? Because you're going to see them all in one place, okay? So don't forget to do that step. I do that with all my supplies. Okay, so the first group I have is that, and I call this my, I call it my everyday grouping. And I think I have them here. Yes. Oh. And you're going to see the last two I just bought. You want to see the last two paper pads I just bought? Was these two right here. Yes, I got them with gift cards, one for birthday and one for Mother's Day, so very happy. Okay, so if you look at this Fantasy Floral by Recollections, okay, this is what I call an everyday collection. This Terrace Blooms by Paper Studio, this is what I call an everyday collection. And I just have one single Bible journaling, so I put it in my everyday collection. And then this Simple Stories High Style, which is just colors, okay? So those are what I would just consider every day. Now, some of you would say, well, no, Janet, why wouldn't you put these in floral? Because I'll tell you what, everything in my scrapbook room would go in that category of floral, because that is my motif, is florals. That and wood grain, and doilies, yeah. So I don't do florals in my paper pads because so many would fall in there, okay? So I don't. I just say these are everyday, because I would use this on everyday pages. I would use this on everyday pages, which, by the way, this paper pad. Now, I'm not into the swan thing, but that marble, that's my little girl. That's me. Yeah, and it's got that rose gold touch. It is a beautiful, look at that marble, okay? Now, someone will say, or something I've said to myself is, you know, why do you keep buying paper pads when you have so many? Well, over the last few years, especially at Michael's with their Recollections brand, and also Hobby Lobby with their Paper Studio pad, they have stepped up to the plate. Okay, meaning that a few years ago, I'd say 7 or 8 years ago, you wouldn't have found this type of collection at Hobby Lobby nor Michael's, because their designs just weren't up to snuff. Well, now they are, and I think they are a match toe-to-toe with what designers are coming out with now that's not, you know, found in big box stores, okay? And especially, this is $19.99 for 60 sheets. Well, you don't pay $20. You know, that's why they price it at $20, because nobody pays $20. But I have. There's one paper pad I did pay $20 for. But if you got that on a sale price of $10 for 60 sheets, and some of these are foil, well, why would you not if it's something, and I like the majority? Okay, and that's how I determine if I want to buy a paper pad. If 75% of it is what I like, it comes home with me. If it's 50, I have to stand there and think about it. But if there's a 3/4 roll, I'm bringing it home. Okay, so why did I go there? I'm sorry. I guess because you'll see how many paper pads I have, and then someday you'll see how much pattern paper I have, and you'll be like, well, why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because this is what I wanted to say. I'm used to paying 99 cents or up to $1.29 for a specialty sheet, okay? So when Michael's and Hobby Lobbies and stores like that have stepped up to the game, and you can get a whole 60 sheets for $10, that's a no-brainer. That's because, okay, honestly, in the past, I've paid up to 99 cents to $1.19, now $1.29 for a sheet like that. Yeah, you don't have to anymore. So that's what I say. I like paper pads. I hope they keep doing them because I'll keep buying them. Well, I'm on a spending freeze this year. But anyways, okay. So this is what I consider an everyday / collection, okay? And like this is a collection, okay? It's Bible journaling. That's a collection. This simple stories, okay? That's an everyday, okay? So it would be those paper pads that you can use on a huge variety of pages, okay? And that's going to be different for everybody, but that's how I do it. Just, you know, this has no particular theme. It's just pretty paper, okay? Let's say that, just pretty paper. And that's what I call my everyday / collections. Okay, so that would be my first group, and honestly, that is my main group. That's where 75% of my paper pads are, okay? Now, my second group, okay, would be what I have. And I just picked out a couple from each grouping because who wants to dig out every paper pad? No. Okay. But I will tell you, there's times when I need to get my brain elsewhere. I will literally grab a cup of tea and I will grab paper pads. I'll sit on the floor and I just lose myself because I just need to get my mind on something else. Because I can look at a piece of paper and I can think of a story. I think of something I want to scrap, then I get inspired. Okay, so, oh no, that butterfly. Yeah, that reminds me of that Auburn Lane collection. Yeah, okay, moving on. So then my next group would be my summer group. Okay, and I'm going to show you how I differentiate these. I'm just going to right now show you some groupings that I have. And like I said, I've been scrapbooking a long time, and after a while, there are some groups, and you'll notice that you probably know what I'm going to say. There's some categories that you no longer use that you did when your kids were little. Okay, my little one's not little anymore, but I don't have a baby group. I don't have a little preschool group. I still have a school group, but I don't have any paper pads. So it's going to, and do your sections and your categories where you are now, okay? And because there's no sense having a baby group or a preschool group if that's not what you scrap. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is my summer group. Okay, anything that makes me think of summer, okay? And I also put this botanical because to me this, like tropical botanical is summer because that's usually when I would visit those type of places, or I would scrap these type of things probably during summer, okay? But now if you have a group that you have a lot of, say you're someone that you live in a tropic region and you have a lot of tropical, then certainly by all means have a separate category for whatever fits your lifestyle, okay? But I put my tropicals in with my summer because that's just what I think about it. Okay, and then also too, anytime if I have military, to me that's summer because I think of Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and that type of thing, okay? So, and by the way, thank you military families. We love you. Okay, so what's my next group? Okay, now when you come up with these groups, what was I doing? Okay. When you come up with these groups, you may, don't worry that if down the road you change it up. It's okay. Nothing lasts forever. Okay, so what you do now, don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be permanent. You can change them up down the road. So, or if you put one in a category and then down the road you think, well, that's not really where I want it. That's okay. You can change it. Don't sweat that, okay? So don't get hung up worrying about finding the perfect category for your pad. It'll all fall into place. Okay, so my next group is what I call my Victorian papers. And the reason I have a group for Victorian papers is because I don't scrap vintage very much. And so I don't have a lot of Victorian / vintage paper, so I put them in a group because I don't want to mix in with my regular everyday collections because I wouldn't pull these out on everyday papers for me. Okay, and this is what I mean for this. This is vintage for me. Okay, so I call it Victorian. Okay, then my next group is a group that I have, and I call it Southwest. Okay, and again, this would be one of these categories that's a personal category for me because, and you may have one is for baseball, you may have one is for dance. Okay, so whatever category you think, you say, well, this is dance, this is military, that whatever you think, that's what your category should be. Okay, so I have a Southwest category because I have an album that's coming up that I'm going to be doing Southwest papers, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to know, I want to have all of them in one place when I go to do that album. So I called it my Southwest, honestly. And I think I only have 3 or 4, but that's okay. I wanted them, I didn't want them with my other papers because now certainly could I use these with other other pages, yes, but until my album is completed, I want my Southwest papers in one grouping. And so I guess that would be my next suggestion. If you know, especially Disney, okay, Disney's a big album. Okay, it's a big project. And so if you have Disney paper pads and you know you have an album coming up, you could put all your Disney papers in one. If you have a trip to Hawaii coming up, you could just put tropical/Hawaii and just keep all your pads together for that. Or if you're someone that goes to a lot of amusement parks, you might want that type of paper pad in a separate category. So I guess my point was, make your category to your own to fit your style, okay, and your needs. So then my next group is my outdoor. And I have quite a few in my outdoor. And this probably wasn't a good one to show outdoor, but this is where I put this one. This says industrial, but to me, okay, I put this in the outdoor. And I guess I'm kind of glad I pulled this. Okay, but you know what outdoor papers look like. Camping, you know, fishing, hunting, that type of thing. Okay, so this industrial I put in my outdoor because this to me is manly. And the men in my life are outdoorsmen. So that's why I put that here. So I guess I'm glad I did pull that out. Okay. And so, something like this, that's a story-based page. And if you want me to talk about that in the future, I will, because I have some story-based. Actually, I have a start to finish. I don't know what day it is. But I'll link that below if you want to look more into story-based pages. And some people say, well, these are realistic. Yes, they are. And they say, I don't know how, like this. So I don't know how to scrapbook something like that. Okay, that's probably upside down. You can see what I'm talking about, okay? Railroad tracks. This is what I call a story-based paper, okay? And I'll link that video below, and that'll explain a little bit more, because these are absolutely some of my favorite papers to use when recording the story. Okay, so outdoor, okay, industrial outdoor. But it's called outdoor, and this is really a nice paper pad. Okay, so what's my next group? My next group is fall. Okay, again, I only have 2 or 3 fall, but I know in the future I will buy another fall paper pad because it's one of my favorite seasons, and I just don't find a lot of fall paper pads. I don't know if manufacturers don't do this, but when I saw this Hot Buy paper pad one day, oh yes, okay, and again, look, just look. Like, I need to be showing any of you paper pads. You already have the addiction. I don't need to show, right? But this was nice, okay? And if you have a favorite fall paper pad, I'm on a spending freeze this year, but I don't have to be next year. So, list your favorite fall paper pad, because I only have 2 or 3, and I know I will be buying one in the future because I love fall papers. Okay, so that would be in my next category, and you kind of see that my categories is kind of going by calendar year in a way. Does that make sense? Because there's fall, so what's next? Christmas. Yes, Christmas. Okay, and there's my Christmas paper pad, so that's my section. Okay, now, and this is what I mean, 48 sheets. This is silver, and I think I paid $5 for this. Actually, no, that's not true. My little girl picked this up for me traveling last year, and she paid $4.80. $4.80? Yeah. Well, $4.80 in my world, that's 5 pieces of paper. That's got 48. Yes, come to mama. Okay, so I have 2 more sections. You think, well, you're at Christmas, you're at the end of the year. What do you have left? Okay, for me, I have a card making section. Okay, meaning that I have a couple paper pads that are very thin. Very pretty, but very thin, and it's these 2 right here. I think they're both by Paper Studio, yes. Okay, now these are thin. This is not what I scrapbook with. These are too thin for me, okay? But they're good for card making and crafting and things like that. And so I don't buy these. One was a gift. And so this is perfect for card making, okay, these thin ones. So if you have them, and also, I was going to say, well, they're good for something else, but that's another whole rabbit hole. I'll just keep going on. Okay, so that's what I have these. I just have 2 of them, and I have these for card making, okay? And to me, that also means crafting and things like that. Okay, my last category, and oh my goodness, I have that stack. I hope I don't trip over it, okay? Yeah, I can't have things on the floor. I trip. Okay, so my last category is cardstock, and these are the paper pads that I have that they're what I would call background papers. That's all foil, or cardstock, you know, so I just put it in a cardstock group, okay? Cardstock, okay? So that is my categories, okay? So one other thing, I had this laying here. Why do I have this laying here? I think I had this laying here to show I think this is what it was. When you look at a paper pad like this, it says Botanical Bliss. Okay, so where do you put that? Okay, now for me, I'm a lot of floral. You know, that's me. But for Botanical Bliss, you could put that in outdoor. You could put this in a floral garden section, okay? Or for me, where did I put this? I put this in everyday. Yeah. So, I guess that's why I had that there. I know why it was. Because you see what I'm saying? You could put that in whatever category your style is or what your brain is going to tell you. Okay? See, there's wood grain. A lot of floral, a lot of botanical. You could put this in garden and be absolutely perfect. Or you could have a floral section. Ooh, who doesn't like that? Yeah. Okay? See, look at that chalkboard. You know, you could even, like I said, you put it in the category your brain's going to think of it. Okay? And again, if you put it in a category and you're thinking, why did I put it there? That's okay. A couple months from now, you can change that. Okay, so what do I want to talk about now? Well, let me get these back in order so they don't go sliding and so I don't go falling. Okay, so now we're going to get to the meat of how I organize, okay? So you saw all my categories. And what I just listed, and how many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 categories, okay? For all my paper pads, I have 9 categories. Now, with that being said, I wouldn't micromanage your categories, meaning I wouldn't have 50 categories. It's just going to be too much for your brain. Do generic or basic categories. You know, Christmas, you know, fall. Fall would be Thanksgiving and Halloween. You know, just do it all fall if that's how your brain thinks. Or if you're someone that you love Halloween and you have a lot of Halloween pads, then by all means you need to have a separate category, okay? But don't micromanage them and don't keep doing subcategories. Just do a generic, basic category, okay? And then as your inventory grows down the road, if you put everything in fall and then you start to realize, oh, I'm really loving Halloween paper pads, then you could, you know, make that into its own down the road. Okay, so there's my 9. So how do I organize those categories? Okay, I don't just simply have them in, well, they're in a pile, but here's the thing. I have my numbered. Can you see that number right there? This one says 35, this one says 36, this one says 1. Okay, so I have every one of my 12 by 12 paper pads numbered. Okay, well, how does that number help you? Okay, remember what I said. My 12 by 12 paper pads are in a closet. Some of them are laying like this, and some of them are standing like this, because it depends. You know, I only have a certain amount of space in my closet. I have to have room for my clothes sometime. You know, I will tell you, you know you're a scrapbooker when you make more room for your product than you do clothes. Can I get an amen? Yes. Okay. So moving on with that. So I have every one of my paper pads numbered. Okay. Every one of my 12 by 12 paper pads are numbered. Okay. Now, how do I number them? Now, again, this is my system. Doesn't have to be your system. You simply could just put all of your paper pads in a pile, assign them a number, and be done with it. Okay, but I'm going to show you how I do mine. And like I said, it has worked for me, and it also works when you're adding new product into your inventory. Okay, and it also works when you're taking something out of your inventory. Okay, so in my everyday, did I have another one here? Oh yeah, I had a couple here. Okay, so, and these aren't in order because I was talking about them. Okay, so, but when they're in my closet, they are in order by number. So my 36 is on the top pile, and then my 35, of course, is underneath that. And watch me knock out a light and a camera. That wouldn't be fun. Okay, if you need to pause, go ahead. I'll be here when you come back. Okay, so there's my numbers: 35, 36, 32, 21. Okay, so now you can tell right now, to be truthful, how many paper pads I have just in my everyday collection. Yep, 36, because this was my last paper pad I just got. Okay, I have 36 paper pads just in my everyday collection. Yeah, ask me if that's too much. No, because I love every one of them. If you said get rid of one of them, I'd say no. I love every one of them. I would not get rid of any of them. Okay, otherwise it wouldn't be in my space to begin with. Okay, so that's what I have. So now how do I inventory those? Okay, and you see my everyday collection is just numbers. There's no letters, just numbers. Okay, so wow, that's a handful right there. So then let's go to my summer. Okay, because that was my next category. What do they have? They say S-245, whatever, however many I have. Okay, S for me means summer. Okay, now you're going to see why this makes a difference. Okay, just hang in there with me. And then, of course, I'll pull these three up. I have V, my Victorian, SW for Southwest, O for outdoor. Okay, I'm going to keep on going. And then, what do I have? I have F for fall, C for Christmas, CM for card making, okay? Or craft making, whatever you want to call that. And then, of course, for my cardstock, what do I have? Probably can figure it out. I have CS cardstock, okay? So that's how I have them separated by, you know, my numbering system. However, you can do that whatever you want. You can just start with a number 1 and run till you just run out of numbers or paper pads. Okay, so that's how I do that. Now, I'm just moving my pads because I don't want to break a leg. I honestly don't. Okay, so, well, that one keeps falling. Okay, so then you say, okay, you have them numbered. Now what do you do? Okay. Well, after you have your paper pads in a group, in a category, and you know, okay, this is going to be my fall, this is going to be my Valentine's, this is going to be my outdoor, this is going to be my Christmas, this is going to be my everyday, this is going to be my Halloween, this is going to be my baby, you know what I mean? Once you have them in categories, okay, you can keep them in that category by the code that you use. You could say baby, B, and then start numbering, or you can call Valentine's V, or Christmas C, summer S, military, however you do it, Halloween H, whatever, okay, and then you number them, okay? And so I just have them in groupings just so that when I go for them, say if I want to go work on fall pages, all my fall pads are in one little area in my closet, if that makes sense, or on your shelf, you know, however you want to do that, okay? And I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to get a drink. Had to get a big drink. Okay, so once you have them in categories by pile of how you want to do them, or no piles, you're just going to number them and be done with it. But I will suggest if you do it in categories, and I think I was saying this before I ended the video there, is that sometimes we do batch scrapbooking, like for the holidays. So we want, you know, to get our fall paper pads out. So it would be better just to go to your space, you know, either on your shelf or on your IKEA unit, or for me, in my case, in my closet, and I just can go to one section and all my fall is right there. Rather than having to dig through 30 paper pads for my fall, I have a grouping of fall. Does that make sense? Okay, so once you have them in categories and then you start numbering, okay, well, why would you number? Okay, and I'm going to give you a visual. This is why. Okay, this is my little baby. Okay, this is how I have my paper pads inventoried, because like I said, for me personally, I do not have shelf space, and I don't want them under a desk, I don't want them underfoot, and I want them taken care of, and I don't want them in sunlight. That is a concern you have to pay attention to. Do not have your paper or your paper pads in direct sunlight. They will fade. How do I know? I've had some cardstock fade. Yes, because I had sun shining on them, and it wasn't a cardstock I reached for routinely. Yeah, they got faded, and it was basil. Yeah, so, you know, you want to make sure that's a factor too. Okay, so for me, these are in my closet. So I'm not going to use these if they're in my closet, right? So I have to have a system, a representation of seeing them. And so this is something the idea came from Tiffany Spaulding one day, several years ago, because, you know, if you know Tiffany Spaulding, she has a system called the scrap rack. And within that scrap rack, you know, it's like a huge binder is what it is, okay, with page protectors. And she was telling her customers that with that scrap rack system, if you have something in your room, but you can't, you know, you can't put it in your scrap rack, like a 12 by 12 paper pad. She said you have to have a representation, and that word right there, I tell you what, it sparked so many things for me. And I do so many things in my space now just because of that one comment that she made. Okay, so again, if this is not something that works for you, maybe something I say will help you define how you could organize your paper pads. So Tiffany was saying to her scrap rack gals that she says, put something in your scrap rack that will remind you to go back and get that, or a reference or representation. And that, boy, that really rung a bell for me. So what I started to do was, I have my paper pads numbered, okay, and then I snapped a photo of them, and then I printed it out. This was just from my picture mate, and I have this numbered, okay? And so this is all my paper pads, okay? Well, let me say, this is my 12 by 12 paper pads, okay? You'll see down the road what I mean. Okay, I gotta take this ring off, it keeps sliding. Okay, so if you look, say number 1, where are we at? Right here. Okay, if I wanted to work on a Bible journaling page, and I wanted this paper pad, I know I'm just going to go to my closet, I'm going to look for number 1. Bing, bang, boom, there we go. Okay, that's what I mean by numbering them. Let's see, what else do I have? Okay, say I'm going to, okay, so now, let me show you. And all this is hole punch with jump rings. That's all that is. Nothing high-tech, nothing expensive. I can guarantee you already have a hole punch in these binder rings. Now, how did I make these holes? You're going to laugh, because this is what I call this, okay? You see this crocodile? You know what I call this? I call this my glorified hole punch, because that's basically what I use it for. But when you have a stack, this works good. But that's what I call it. I call it a glorified hole punch. So, again, you're going to see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, yada, 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 yada. Okay, I'm going to show you something within that. And then we're going to go clear back, and I'm going to show you my number 35. And I'm sorry, number 36. What is that? Oh, my beautiful number 36. That's that last paper pad I just bought. So, when I go shopping, which I won't, but in my spending freeze, if I go on a trip, I have permission. I give myself permission to buy something on a trip. I have a trip coming up, and so if I see something I like, a paper pad, I will bring it home. I will number it 37, snap a photo. It's going to go right back there. Okay, so right there is my everyday collection. Okay, that's my main grouping. So I have every one of my paper pads numbered 1 through, and right there 36. These were the last 2 I just brought in. Okay, and my photos that I snap, they're nothing great. It's just a quick snap, as long as it's not blurry and you can see what it is, because all I needed was a representation. Like Tiffany said, all I needed was a representation. And when I heard that word, I thought, I don't need paper pads to my left and to my right. I don't need them under my desk. I don't need them on my shelf. I can put them where I have room. And in my space, it was in my closet in my room. And that's where I have them. And I thought, yeah, if I have this to my side, I wish I had every supply catalog like this. Wouldn't that be for nice? But anyways, like I said, I've done this several years ago and has worked well for me, okay? And so whenever I'm working on a certain category, like I know I have some Disney pages coming up. For me personally, I want to use my carousel line by Maggie Holmes. So I know to just go and grab number 6, and there's my carousel line. Okay, and so what else? I want to show something. Okay, and I showed this in a video. I showed a paper pad, and I said, you see that number 8? That's why. That's how I knew how to get that. Okay, and okay, wedding. See if I had a wedding page I wanted to do. I just go to number 12. Okay, now you could do a separate category just for wedding if you want that. Okay, now there's something I wanted to show here. I'll find just a minute. Okay, you see this basic gray? I have that number 24 and have a 2 circled. Why? Because I have 2 of them. And so even in my photo, I showed both paper pads. Okay, and I have another one where I have duplicates. Okay, number 29. I have 2 of these Pebbles family ties. I put both in the photo to represent that I have 2 pads. Okay, so that's how I do that. Now, let's get on to the next group, which was my summer group. Okay, it's the same thing. Okay, same thing. I have my summers cataloged as S1, S2, whatever, however many I have. And when I know, because I just needed a piece of paper from that not so long ago when I was making a knockoff kit, I knew exactly where to go. Okay? And this is the same category listing I gave you as my everyday, my summer, Victorian, Southwest. This is exactly how my little booklet is planned. Okay, there's my summer. Okay? Summer, see, S5, S6, S is summer for me. And then here's my Victorian section. Okay? Okay, and I don't have tabs or anything like that. It's simply this. It's just pictures on a binder ring. I mean, Yeah, that's high tech, isn't it? Okay, but maybe a couple other options if you don't want to do this, so hang on. Okay, so there's the end of my Victorian. Okay, and then here's my Southwest. So how many do I have? I have 3 Southwest papers because I know I have an album coming up. Okay, so there's my Southwest, and then there's my outdoor. Okay, I'll just keep going with my outdoor, and then I get to my fall. See, I have 2 fall pads, 2 lonely little fall pads. Okay, and so with this type of system, not only can you add, you know, say if I'm, you know, I want to buy another fall pad, I just know I do. Okay, so when I bring it into my inventory, what will I number it? Well, there's 1, 2. You know, I'm going to number it number 3, F3. Put it with my other ones, okay, or in the vicinity, and then I'll just snap a photo, stick it in there. I mean, this will keep growing with you, and that's why I said with your space that you allocate for your paper pads, have a little bit of room for growth, not huge, okay. And there's Christmas, and then there's my card making section, and then the rest followed up with my card stocks. Okay, so that is how I organize my 12 by 12 paper pads. So to make a long story short, I grouped them by the categories in which I scrap, the categories I need to reference to, and then I numbered them, and then I snapped a photo. And so I have a little catalog of my 12 by 12. Now, if this is not your bag, okay, because I tell you, I know some of you girls are tech girls. So what you can do the same thing, except doing this part, you put them on Evernote. Okay, and there's a lot of people that know about Evernote. I don't know a single thing. All I know is that it's a great system, but it's a digital techie system. And for me, when I'm in my scrap space, I don't want anything techie other than a YouTube video running or a movie, because I'm all about playing with the paper. I don't want to be on a computer, and that's why I don't have a silhouette or anything like that. I'm just a very basic gal when it comes to scrapbooking. Okay, it's kind of like quiet time. I don't want any tools or gadgets. Okay, so then the other thing you can do is you can actually create a catalog system if you want, a binder. You could snap a photo, put it on a piece of cardstock, and keep running with that. You don't have to do this, but this is so simple. Okay, there's no sense taking a photo, cutting it out, putting on cardstock, putting it on a piece of, putting in a page protector, putting it in a binder, and yada yada yada. This is it. This is how simple. Not hard. I didn't have to buy a single thing, okay, to organize that. Or the other thing is, you could simply make a list, okay. And years ago, I did that. But that didn't work for me because even though I can visualize collections, I'm good about that, the list was not enough of a representation. I wanted to see what my paper pads, and of course, you know, on paper pads, they have the color represented right there, okay? And then the other thing you could do is, you know, your phone. You can create albums right on your phone. Snap a photo, put it in an album, label it whatever album you want. You know, you could just simply put 12 by 12 paper pads if you don't have a lot. Just label it 12 by 12 albums, take a photo, snap it there, you're done. I mean, honestly, you're done. Okay, but now I had to number them because of the amount that I have. Okay, I just simply couldn't have 30 paper pads in a pile in my closet. I would have to sift through every one of them. Yeah, I thought I heard something. Okay. I would have to sift through 30 of them to find what I want. I don't want that. I just want to, this is what I want. I'm going to my closet. I see the number 1. I'm done. Okay. That's how simple it got. Okay. So I think that was all I wanted to say. I'm sure that was a way too much talking to get to the point, but there are a couple things you have to think about before you just start organizing paper pads. And I will have to say, this is one of those things, if you want to be one and done, give it a little bit of thought before you start doing it, because I did this years ago. I wish I would have started doing my paper pads this way a long time ago. Okay, but you know, you learn as you go, right? People give you different ideas, something will spark. And when Tiffany Spaulding has said the word representation, I ran with that, honestly. And so this is my 12 by 12 paper pads, all right here. Okay, now that's all. Every single paper pad I own, 12 by 12, is right here. That's a lot different than this and this. You see what I'm saying? These are so big and so heavy that you simply can't. You can't go through your paper pads this way. You can't. It's just, they're just too cumbersome, too heavy, and you're just going to give up. Okay? So I suggest putting your paper pads somewhere wherever you have the space to do them and keep them in good shape, and they don't have to be front and center. No, mine are in my closet, literally. And so this is a lot better, and this is just a small fraction of my paper pads. Okay, so that is what I want to say about 12 by 12 paper pads. If you have any comments or questions, or maybe you have other ideas that you could list that would help someone else, because this isn't going to be for everybody. I know that. This is just what I do, because I do not have the actual shelf space to my left and to my right. Sorry, I gotta take another drink. I do not have the shelf space left or to my right. And I certainly don't want them underfoot. And I certainly don't want to have to dig through something to get to them. Okay, so that was the best solution for me. Okay, and one thing I will say is, if you're putting them on a shelf, please listen to this warning. Paper is heavy. Okay, you want it on the very bottom shelf of whatever you're doing. Okay, do not put it on the top shelf, second shelf, third shelf. It needs to go on the bottom shelf, because paper is heavy, and your units and your shelving units and everything else will be top heavy. Okay, so I recently just asked my brother, because I have a shelf in my closet that he installed, and it's a heavy duty closet shelf, and I said, could I put my paper pads up there, because I would love to be able to just reach in quick and get it. He goes, you can, but they'll be at the bottom of your closet anyways. So he said, keep them on the floor. I'm like, okay. So, and he's a builder. So if he's telling me, and I know he installed that shelving unit, and he hung, he could pull himself up with that rod, and he's not a little boy. Okay. And he said, it'll hold me. And I said, oh, well, could it hold my paper pads? No. Okay. Paper needs to go on the very bottom of anything you own, because paper is so heavy. And be warned that paper pads, like I said, I've been a long time scrapbooker, paper pads will warp your shelves. Okay. Unless they're heavy metal or heavy wood, paper pads will warp your shelving units. What comes from IKEA, comes from Walmart, that type of thing. They will eventually warp. I know, because I've had to flip shelves, because my paper has warped it. Okay. So that was probably too much talking, but I did want to give that warning. Paper is very heavy. Do not put it on top shelves. Do not put it where it can get top heavy and fall over. Give a little bit of attention to where you're putting it. Okay, it's very heavy. So that's 12 by 12 paper pads. So what will we talk about next on our next grouping of paper pads? Well, what would be the next size down? Well, that would be what? 8.5 by 11. Do they still make them? Or now they're coming out with 6 by 8. 8 by 8, I don't even know if too many people still do 8 by 8, but that's what we'll do. How about, well, you know what? Maybe what we'll do is we only really need one more, really just our smaller sizes, right? Do we need to do, leave me a comment. Do we need to do another section other than our 6 by 6? Because we'll just say odd shapes, anything that's not 12 by 12, right? I think that's what we'll do. We'll just do one more video of anything that's not 12 by 12, because it's going to be the same thing, okay? But you have to think about where you're putting those little puppies, okay? They get trickier, I think, than 12 by 12. Okay, so I better stop talking there, and I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you a little bit of a visual how I do mine, and I will tell you this has worked for me. I've done it for years, and I wish I would have done it years and years ago. Okay, so it's worked for me. And again, how this works is because you're giving yourself room to grow. If I buy another one, which I know it's going to be a fall one, I'm just going to go right here, back here to my fall. Look how easy that was to find. And I will just number it F3, take a photo, put it in there. That's what I'm going to do. And recently I had gotten rid of one, and say if I was to purge this or get rid of it, I would, just get rid of this whole paper, or what I would do is I would just put an X over it. Okay? That's how you do it. Okay? Easy peasy. Okay, that is all I have to say about 12 by 12 paper pads. I hope it answered some questions, gave you an insight as how I do it. I hope something sparked an interest for you. If you have any questions, or if you have any tips and ideas for how you do yours, please share below so we can learn too. And come back to RTS, because you never know what we're going to learn. Bye.